With the passing of my adolescence and the rapid approach of adulthood, I've spent much time in reflection of the events and challenges that await me in the coming years. I have found that with growing responsibilities and newfound burdens, it can be difficult to remain motivated and overcome the hurdles life puts in your way. That is why I have chosen this poem, Invictus, which speaks to life's troubles but highlights how with the right mindset, they can be overcome. Here's the poem for you to read. Invictus, Latin for unconquerable, was the name given to this poem written by William Ernest Henley in 1875. For a brief background, Henley was born in Victorian England, but suffered at a young age from skeletal tuberculosis, which led to the loss of his leg from amputation at only 16 years of age. It was during his subsequent stays in hospital when Henley was inspired to write what would become Invictus. His deeply significant trauma is reflected upon in the poem, but contrasted by a message of unconquerable resilience. This powerful message, which encourages braving the challenges one faces without faltering in the face of doubt, has made Invictus a timeless poem which retains relevance to this day. Invictus is a lyric poem expressing the personal thoughts and emotions of the speaker from a first-person perspective. It is composed of 4 quatrains in iambic tetrameter, where each line contains 8 syllables with 4 stressed beats. Further, the poem follows a consistent rhyme scheme with alternating structure A-B-A-B every stanza. This structure of rhythm and rhyme gives its words a natural flow and creates a melodic conciseness. The poem also features poetic devices which help express and enhance its ideas. We'll go through Invictus stanza by stanza and take a look at how aspects of poetry are used. In the first stanza, the speaker begins to present his message using a combination of personification and metaphor. The night, a potential metaphor for despair and suffering, is personified as enveloping the speaker. As an image of darkness, night is used to present negative connotations and represent hardships such as depression or hopelessness. The next line starts with a simile, where night is said to be as black as the pit, which can be taken as a place of deep desolation. This, alongside the subsequent hyperbole, from pole to pole, emphasize the extent and significance of the speaker's pain, physically and emotionally. However, the third and fourth lines express grateful thanks to a higher power for the speaker's resilience in the face of despair. This unconquerable soul helps establish a theme that will be carried through the poem and would later inspire its title of Invictus. The second stanza brings forth imagery of the speaker as a victim of poor circumstances, with the personification of circumstance. Through the word clutch, the speaker illustrates the situation as a binding, cruel grasp. This is contrasted by line 2, where it is claimed that despite agonizing circumstances, the speaker has not complained about the burden. Chance is similarly personified in line 3 as a hurtful bludgeoning inflicting deep and personal pain. Line 4 provides its contrast with imagery of staying steadfast despite physical injury. I find that this imagery expresses, even when you suffer from misfortune and life gets tough, do not concede defeat to pity or doubt. Rather remain vigilant and you will overcome what plagues you. Furthermore, consonance and assonance is used throughout stanza 2 for emphasis and rhythm. For example, the repetition of consonants in clutch and cried, or the repeating vowels in bludgeon and bloody. This interchange of hard consonants and softer vowel sounds represents the speaker's pain, but also his resilience. Starting in the third stanza, the speaker begins to look to the future and what awaits beyond this place of wrath and tears. This place referred to can be a representation of different things, depending on interpretation, such as possibly the infirmary for the author, while you and I might read it as a difficult situation or the imperfect world we live in. The next line contains a powerful metaphor in the shade, which, in looming, may be a personification of mortality, but can also describe the inevitability of future challenges and struggles. A second metaphor can be found in the third line of stanza 3, where the menace of the years may represent the coming of age and the uncertainties that passing time brings. However, the speaker concludes the stanza by declaring their lack of fear for the future and their acceptance of what is to come. Invictus concludes with a memorable final stanza that presents a powerful and motivating message. It starts with an allusion to the Bible and an impactful metaphor. I find that the gate is a metaphor for difficult challenges in life, or the journey of life itself. In this way, I believe line 1, stanza 4 states that despite the narrow and treacherous path one may have to walk to overcome their challenges in life, it matters not, as you will meet those challenges without falter. The subsequent line provides allusions to an afterlife and punishments for sins committed, but again expresses that no judgments or ailments that lie ahead will matter as long as one is in control of their actions. This idea extends into the famous final 2 lines, where the speaker expresses a bold outlook on life using symbolism. For example, "I am a master of my fate" symbolizes that despite all the hardships the speaker may face, they are the sole person in control of their life. The use of captain as a nautical symbol illustrates that the speaker will guide his soul and lead himself in wherever he goes and whatever he experiences. In summary, the final stanza illustrates that despite what awful circumstances, painful struggle, or adversity that fate may allot for you, the individual is ultimately the one to accept responsibility and control of their fate. It shows that we, as decision makers for ourselves, are the one authority over how we approach life, what we can overcome, and what we can accomplish. Together, the poetic devices and literary structures employed in Invictus create an effective poem that has stood the test of time with its powerful and motivational theme. A theme I interpret as, in the face of its burdens, life may feel impossible at times, but if the individual has faith in themselves and stays resilient through it all, they will overcome the challenges and shape their destiny. What it means to me. Invictus is a poem which makes reference to extremes of suffering and unfortunate circumstance, but presents a rousing message of staying steadfast in the face of whatever life throws at you. These ideas can be traced to William Ernest Henley's lifelong suffering from tuberculosis, which led him to compose Invictus. Although I can't claim to have experienced the trauma of the poet, I can identify with the difficult circumstances which inspired him to write Invictus. Like William Henley, I was a victim of unfortunate illness at a young age. When I was 6, I developed a viral infection in my neck which required hospitalization and surgery to treat. As you would expect, 6-year-old me was scared for his life, in unfamiliar despair, and fearful of what was yet to come. Although it is doubtful Invictus would have been understood then, reading it now, the poem speaks personally to what I have experienced. It has made me reminisce to those tough days of nasty medicine and personal agony, but also brought a new appreciation to my overcoming of the challenge. Despite being a victim of circumstance, I braved my treatment and fear to overcome my ordeal. Alongside a faith in medicine and my caregivers, I was able to make a recovery. With knowledge that William Ernest Henley braved the worst situation and came through with a head unbowed, I believe that Invictus would have been just as inspiring during my past trial as it is to me now. I find that it contains the compelling message not to be a victim of our bad circumstances and become trapped in doubt, but to have faith that you will come through the storm. In regards to the meaning of Invictus to me today, the poem still speaks to me on a profound level because its inspiring message can apply to a broad range of struggles and provide motivation to accomplish one's goals. I think the value of this poem stems from the fact that it can be interpreted so differently by so many people. For example, from the perspective of someone in physical peril, it inspires one to seek courage to face whatever may come, whether that be pain or death. From the perspective of you or I, it can be about overcoming our day-to-day challenges and preparing ourselves for the future. Although we are aware of the context behind the poem, with our individual interpretations, I believe Invictus can really apply to any situation and inspire anyone. For me personally, the final two stanzas truly inspire on a profound level. I've come to take this place of wrath and tears to represent my current circumstances as a student and adolescent with newfound stresses, goals, and expectations. However, the next line tells me that despite the difficulties of today, there are yet more struggles to overcome in my future. Although this may seem pessimistic, I take inspiration from the idea that what I find challenging today is but a trifle compared to the more important challenges I will face and overcome tomorrow. Furthermore, and yet the menace of the years is of particular note if I take it to mean the coming of age. Like many in my stage of life, I'm anxious about what adulthood holds, the accompanying hardships, and how I will guide my life. However, through finds and shall find me unafraid, this poem inspires me to embrace the transition in my life and stay vigilant with any difficulties that may come. This idea that life is a journey of adversity, but one that can be navigated, is further explored in the fourth stanza. The metaphors of gate and scroll help me realize that no matter how demanding the path is toward your goal, or how tedious the struggles you will face, you can conquer each challenge if you take a mastery and a belief in your fate. I also interpret being a captain of my soul to mean finding the capability as an individual to achieve my goals. These final lines stress that you control how you react to circumstance and what you can do with your life. I find that Invictus carries the motivational idea that if you want something, whether that be achieving your goals or getting through a tough time, don't make excuses to yourself. Don't let self-doubt or the doubt of others weaken your resolve, but rather turn the doubt into a test that will strengthen your character. From this, I've realized the first step of overcoming any adversity is finding the belief that you can overcome it. I've taken to heart that you must first believe that you are able to accomplish something, if you are to be successful. These ideas are a summary of how the words of Invictus and William Ernest Henley have brought new insight into my life. I hope to continue applying this poem's moving message in the coming years, and who knows, its words might provide the strength to get where I would like to go. Perhaps in 10 or 20 years' time, I can look back upon Invictus as a more weathered soul and take a new perspective. It's even possible that I would relate more strongly then, having overcome my share of life's obstacles and seeing how the poem's ideas have been applied throughout my journey. And I would wager that Invictus would still inspire future me to brave the challenges yet to come. I trust that you can take a piece of motivation from this poem as I did. Although it's difficult to summarize the message of such an influential piece of literature, I think I'll leave you with this. Although you'll inevitably face innumerable challenges in your life, do not let them sway you, but rather face them with your head unbowed. Be not afraid of what awaits you, because if you believe that you can remain strong and overcome the trials of life, you will succeed. After all, you are the master of your fate. You are the captain of your soul.